What is up? Today I'm here with Mark Boutman. Him and his wife Christina, they run Mark Andrew Boudoir. Mark started that after he left the Marines, after serving 8 years, and his last duty station was Paris Island. So I'm really glad you did this, Mark. Things have turned out amazingly well. How you doing over there?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Just doing the thing.
All right, so I basically want to start with you as your story because it's very unique that, a male boudoir photographer does remotely well. Most people are just like shunned, they give up after a couple months of trying, but you seem to have withstood it and you have an amazing brand. So before we get into the details of that, how you get your clients, tell me, how did this even come about?
Well, this is actually kind of your fault. Uh, so a couple years ago, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was starting to pursue maybe joining the Army band. I was a musician in the Marine Corps band, and so when I got out of the Marines, I was looking at switching over to the Army side. And due to some health thing or some medical reasons, I wasn't able to do that. So I was like, well, let's go ahead and pursue the photography. I really love doing that. It was kind of a side hustle at that point. And then at that time, I was doing basically anything that I could get my hands on. It was a lot of weddings, family photographies. I did our photo shoots. I did a pet photo shoot at one point, really just anything. And then this was probably about we're in our fifth year. So this was a little over 4 years ago. You and I were talking and you were like, hey, I noticed that you're doing the wedding stuff. Have you thought about adding boudoir to the mix for the weddings for your wedding clients? And I was like, I don't really know. I don't really know what that is. I've seen other photographers post about it. I don't know. I'm married. I don't really know if that's really going to mix with us. And so after researching it a little bit more, I had some friends who did boudoir photography, looked up what they were doing. And one photographer in particular, I don't think she shoots anymore, but her whole business was wrapped around empowering her clients and helping them fall in love with themselves and be comfortable in the skin that they're in. And I was like, well, that makes more sense. I kind of like that side of things versus let's just create really steamy sexy pictures. So when I was showing it to my wife, she's like, I don't know, this is weird, right? My husband's coming here wanting to do this far off into the left field kind of thing. And then, we were kind of going over how we can incorporate that in our business. And we did a couple photo shoots with some friends, and, the results after that, seeing the client, the transformation was like, wow, this is really cool. There's really something here. We had a lot of fun. We didn't have to work with mother of the brides or, flower girls who aren't wanting to cooperate or whatever it is. This is way more fun. The clients love it. We get a lot of fulfillment out of that. And so we just kind of switched sides and just completely went into the boudoir stuff. And now we are in our year. So it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah. So how long, after you started doing boudoir, did you realize damn, these weddings can kind of go away? And was there a difference in what you were charging? Yeah. What did you see with that?
Yeah, that was a huge factor in why I wanted to make the switch. At that time, I think I was only charging $2,500 for a wedding, and there was not a lot of sales afterwards. So it was pretty much $2,500 for 30, 40 hours of work. Because at that time I wasn't outsourcing any editing, and it was kind of a mess. So when we did our a couple boudoir sessions and had clients come in and they were spending more than that on their, 8 hours total from them showing up to being done editing, ordering the album, delivering everything. I was like, this is a no-brainer. We can make more money in less time, and it's way better on my knees. I'm not on my feet for 12 hours every Saturday. So plus, now we shoot during the week, so we're not working on the weekends. It really just kind of fell in line financially, and of course, just for our lifestyle. It just made a lot more sense.
So I've been to Paris Island, against my will almost. I signed that contract. I went to those yellow steps. I did spend maybe a day or two on the outskirts of it, maybe the Beaufort area. There was not a lot there. So yeah, tell us, what is it like, having a studio in a small town like that?
Yeah. So when we first started the studio, we were shooting out of our sunroom. We have a studio space out in town now. And There's only so many people who are looking to do a photo shoot like this. I felt like in our town, of course, you can always find somebody who's interested, but eventually, like those like in town, like everyone starts to hear about you a little bit. Word of mouth only goes so far. Luckily for us, we have the military people coming in, but I'll tell you, most of our clients are not in Beaufort. Most of our clients travel at least an hour and a half outside of Beaufort to come to work with us. Last week, we had somebody fly in from Illinois to come shoot with us, which was really, really awesome. We've had people all the way from Asheville, west of Atlanta, driving, 5-6 hours sometimes to come work with us. So, the small town, because you hear a lot out of photographers like, oh, I can't make it in a small town. There's just not a lot of money where I live. And, we've had clients who do live here in Beaufort who, if you look at on paper what they do for a living, they're a waitress or a bartender, but what they want to do is what they want to do, and what they want to spend their money on is what they want to spend their money on. So, at first I think that it was getting the ball rolling was great because it was like the new thing in town. A lot of people were talking about us. We got around to like the people who are local really quickly, but then we kind of had like this drop off of, well, everyone in town has heard of us. We're not the new news anymore. So now we kind of have to spread our wings out to the surrounding areas. And we've been doing pretty well with that so far.
So a lot of people might wonder, you're in a small town, you have this new product, this new service. How are you even getting clients at the start?
Oh man. A lot of prospecting, a lot of cold calling or messaging people on Facebook, adding them on friends. I think we started our business really just on Facebook and with my personal profile, adding anyone and their mother who was in Beaufort. There was sometimes where I would look at like a spa, like a day spa here in the area, and I would see who was liking those statuses and just adding them on Facebook, and then reaching out and be like, hey, me and my wife have a boudoir studio here in town. We've been doing this for a couple months, or whatever it was, the message was, and just letting people know that we exist. Because, when you first start your business, you kind of like make a website and you're like, well, now everybody knows that I exist with my website, but it's not really the case. They still have to find you. So a lot of prospecting, a lot of cold calling, adding people to our Facebook group. And in fact, I don't really think I did anything with paid advertisement, Google ads or Facebook ads, probably the first good 6, 7, 8 months like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people would be surprised. I will say I'm like a huge proponent of prospecting. Almost everything I have in life has come from like just connecting with people in person or online. Like even me and you, I think we might have met like on a Camp Lejeune or one of those websites or not websites, but Facebook group where like we just connected, and you just keep in touch with people. People's like, you don't fall out of favor, or, you don't just disappear. Like people give me their phone number and I'll tell them, I will never talk to you again if I don't see your like story, or if I don't see you post something. So let's do Instagram or Facebook. But yeah, a lot of people would be really scared because they feel like, hey, there's a lot of rejection. And I actually do remember that you're an example I always give, because when I used to have my first coaching clients, and even now in our group coaching and even our, done for you service now, we always tell photographers like, hey, in the meantime, the first thing you can do immediately to get results is prospect, especially if you've never done it before. And I remember I told 2 people to do it at once. I told you and someone else. And you came back and you were sending me screenshots of these conversations. And I was like, oh my God, that's not that great. But the results were really good. Like you were sending messages out. And I remember reading like some of the prospecting you were doing, and it sounded really bad to me. But like you were so enthusiastic. People were like, yeah, I work on base and I like need all these photographs done for the unit or whatever. Companies. And I just remember thinking like, it's not perfect, but every week he's doing it, he's going to get, way better. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, how was it? Do you remember any of those times?
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that. The prospecting was not good at the beginning. Let me just clarify. It was not good. There's another photographer here in town. She's a good friend of mine. She actually reached out and she was like, hey, I have some past clients who you had messaged and they were saying, this is kind of weird. I just wanted to give you a heads up so you don't get like a bad rap. So, very quickly we changed our strategy on letting people know that we exist. And it stopped with me personally messaging women and being like, hey, we're a boudoir studio. You want to do a shoot? To Christina messaging people from her profile and saying, hey, I saw that you were interested in this, blah, 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 blah. Me and my husband are new in town and we started this. And so we just kind of, everything in business too is that initial action and it's sucking and then making tweaks for it to be more streamlined, for it to make more sense, for it to resonate with your ideal client a lot better. And there's definitely some hiccups at the beginning, but now since then, we have really changed how we talk, our verbiage, what we even talk about in that first message. And honestly, our messages are super easy now. It's just like, hey, on Instagram, we do a lot of prospecting on Instagram, and we will follow somebody, or if they follow us, we'll follow them back, and then we'll message them and say, hey, thanks for the follow. You're amazing. Have you ever thought about doing a boudoir shoot? And that works. I think before, I was just trying too hard, and now it's just like, hey, have you thought about this? No? Okay, great. Well, we're here when you do, and just kind of making those changes has definitely made a big change for us.
I guess I'll say that is, an aspect for a lot of men wanting to do boudoir is it's very easy to look, even if you're not, a woman could send the same message and like alarm bells go off because you did, especially, have an 8-inch beard and, super long hair, probably helps. But I will say that, a lot of guys have that problem. And even me and you, when we first started working on this, we had a lot of back and forth dialogue about like, hey, we have to acknowledge you're a guy in this. There's more you have to do to get over the hurdle. And like, you do it really well now. And I feel like you like went and implemented everything. So walk me through that. Like, did you find resistance with that? And then like, what do you actively do? Or did you actively set up to try to get past that as a guy?
Yeah. When we coming from just getting out of the Marine Corps is a very masculine heavy type of crew, to where even the way I would uphold myself or how I would talk or interject into conversations is like so far away from like what our clients want, and so for me, I really had to, I don't want to say change my personality, but I had to kind of throttle back a little bit. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was very go-getter. I was very, for lack of better terms, balls to the wall. I was just ready to go, right? And now I have to find myself just coming off a little bit more gentler, or a little bit more gentle, I guess. So that was a little bit harder, for me. One of the greatest things that we started doing to kind of create that comfort for our clients, where they can come into our studio and feel like they're just over at another friend's house doing something for themselves or for their husband or whatever it is having Christina on board with me. Christina, my wife, we have her through communications. She's the first one who actually speaks to the client to see what they're interested in, when they want to book. And then once we have them booked for a consultation, then I come in and I talk to them about like their vision for the photo shoot. So, with Christina kind of being that first touch of communication, this is a little bit more gentle through that funnel. Like if you look at like a sales funnel for a man versus a woman, it's going to be very different in how you speak and how you lay out things, how many pictures you use, whatever it is. But at least for me, that funnel, having Christina at the very, very start of it, being able to walk them through, answer any questions that they might have. We've had people ask like, well, are you at the photo shoot? Do you help? And yes, she's there to help with outfit adjustments, to hype you up, to help with styling, everything. So that was, as a man, I know that there are male photographers out there who don't use a female assistant, or will just go and do the photo shoot just them and the client, and it works for them, and that's great. For me, it only makes things more comfortable with an assistant there for both the client and for you. and for everyone's safety too. Everyone feels more comfortable with that third party there. So having Christina there from the get go has been huge. Yeah, I would say if you're a man who is opening a studio and you don't have a female assistant, try having a female assistant for like 2-3 months and see how that changes your business, and see how that changes your sales, see how that changes your images. If a client is a little bit more comfortable with a female assistant there, that's going to be portrayed in their expressions and how they are holding themselves in the pose and everything. So that's been huge. And just shifting how I speak and the words that I use. Like, obviously, like for butt, I'm never going to say, now shift your ass over this way. I'm going to say, all right, now we're going to bring your booty over this way. You're going to put your butt out this way. Just those little changes in how I'm talking to the client over the years. I'll see what fits, what resonates, and shift how I'm posing or how I'm leading somebody through the whole session.
Yeah. So for someone who maybe has been doing everything on their own, and maybe it's a little bit of crickets because they might have some of that issue. And by the way, a lot of female photographers have this problem too. Maybe not the objection being, hey, I need a third party there, but they might not have a lot of clients in the first place. But I'm just pointing out that, like, for men, you have all the same problems plus this huge wall. And then there's definitely a lot of things you can do. So what besides being like at the shoot, what else would you have them do? I mean, I think I saw your Facebook group has quite a few people. She's managing, kind of doing a lot of posting there too.
Yeah. As a man, I would say as much as you can show to your potential clients, the better. So behind the scenes, you posing, a lot of clients who come to us don't even know if they're going to pose themselves or I'm going to pose them, or if they need to bring pictures for poses. So showing that you're posing, I don't ever really touch my clients. All of my posing is of verbal directions, and I'll actually get down and like show the pose too if I need to. But behind the scenes of that, so they know what to look for. Behind the scenes of, like, we have our studio space that you just scrolled past, showing them that our studio is not in the bottom of my mom's basement. It is like a legit studio in a legit place. Having testimonials too. That was something too that I think that you told me to have a lot more of, is just more video testimonials and more behind the scenes, more showing of the whole process. Because if you look through my website, this is actually something I want to update now, is adding more behind the scenes video, almost like TikTok or like Reels, something that I can just go ahead and embed in the website. But, for a lot of clients, they've never done this before. They don't know what to expect. They don't even know if they can, look like the images that you see on our website. They probably even think that these are, models that we're working with. So showing them what that process looks like, what it's going to feel like, how we talk to our clients, everything. It really, really helps take the guesswork out of it, to where, they're inevitably going to be like, this is what I want to do. This is the guy who's really resonating.
Yeah. What social platform do you find it works best for you? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook group?
Well, I right now, Instagram is working a lot for us. We've been booking a lot of Instagram prospects, and by a lot, I mean we've probably booked like 3 or 4 over the last month. But we don't shoot a lot. We only shoot about 6 to 8 shoots a month, so we don't shoot a lot. So that's good for us. But Instagram has been really working for us. Posting reels. Christina will make reels for us, and those seem to do really well. But prospecting on Instagram, prospecting on Facebook works too, for like, your Facebook group. And, but we don't really do a whole lot of it. My problem is that I want to do, the least amount of work and make the most amount of money. as ridiculous as that sounds. So, usually, like, when I find something that's working, I just kind of dig into that. So like right now, we're putting a lot more focus into Instagram and letting our Facebook kind of coast, because we are kind of a smaller studio, to where we're not shooting, between 12 and 6 a month. We're doing half of that. So I did a lot on TikTok. I was posting 4 to 6 times a day on TikTok, and that kind of just consumed my entire life. So I stepped away, and I haven't posted very much on TikTok. But I think Facebook Reels are going to be like, I mean, who knows if TikTok gets banned, where are people going to go? They're going to go to Facebook and Instagram to watch those Reels that they want to watch. So I think Facebook and Instagram Reels are a really good place to kind of boost that engagement and everything.
Yeah, I saw your TikToks. You have so many of them. Are you reusing the TikTok content you make on Facebook or Instagram at all?
I am a little bit. That's one thing that we have started doing is downloading those old TikToks because there's so much information in those TikToks, and putting those on Facebook, it's like Facebook generally doesn't know, so it works that way. But with TikTok too, man, it's like I use TikTok like I use Google sometimes, where, if I'm looking for, what to bring to my photo shoot, or what do I need? How do I do this gardening thing or whatever it is? I usually go to TikTok and I'll like watch it. It's kind of like, whenever I'm trying to learn something new, I'm on YouTube learning it, but it's only 30 seconds. So I get a lot of people viewing and liking my old TikToks that I haven't posted to in like a year. So I think TikTok is still great. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm the first person to say, like, if I'm looking for something in the creative space, I used to have, we still do, but we used to do a lot of like web design for people, and we would always need like branding photos. So I would reach out to photographers, and to go through Google was just such a pain in the ass to click through all these old websites. And like, I felt like Google just prioritized, obviously, the SEO game, where like Instagram, it's kind of curated by like popularity, which, good or bad, I could instantly see what the photos look like. And I can just go hit people up on Instagram, and I just get responses super fast compared to like a web form that somebody doesn't even have connected. And then I found myself the same thing with TikTok. Me and my fiance were going through Costa Rica at the time, and we were like, hey, like, where should we go? We were just booking like 2 days in advance. So we like had the first hotel booked. We didn't know where we were going next. We'd ask people and look at TikTok. And then we would make like a 12-hour decision. Hey, we'll book the next place, and we'd leave. And it would come from TikTok, because I'd see, like you said, a 20-second, suggestion. And where on TripAdvisor, YouTube, it's like, is this photo old? Did they just pay for this placement? But like TikTok, like there's no hiding it. I could see, some of it's like very artistic and, just shot much better than some of like the legacy media stuff. So I agree. Like, to me, it's such a great search engine.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't go away too. Like, if you post on Instagram, like make an actual post, or on Facebook, it's pretty much gone after a couple days. You're probably not going to see that post again. But I can't tell you how many times where I'm flipping through my For You page on TikTok, and I'll find something that's super relevant to me, but the person posted it a year and a half ago. And so there's a whole lot of value in that. And I really hope that Facebook, just because I am way more invested in Facebook than I am in TikTok. Like, I have a lot of stuff on TikTok, but most of my stuff is on Facebook, which I kind of hope that Facebook will kind of go to that side of how their user interface works and how they're pushing out content, is to use it more like TikTok, because even Facebook kind of feels old school to me now, to where, kind of like we were saying, like, we're Google, it's more of a hassle to find what you're looking for through Googling it. Or if I Google something, I'm skipping past the sponsored ad clicks right away. Like, I don't even look at those, just because I know it's an ad and it may or may not be relevant to me. I much rather go for like the organic stuff, like beneath. And Facebook isn't like that at all. It's a lot more. If you're the only people that are going to be like looking at stuff are the ones who are finding it, it's been posted within a couple of days, if that makes sense. But the TikTok, it keeps coming back, which is really cool.
Yeah. And even from the user side, for me on Facebook, I see a lot of like the group posts, and I see a lot of, my friends and family and stuff, and that's great. But for someone trying to get like new eyeballs this might even be a downside on TikTok. I almost see no one that I knew before. I don't see like Jen Bruno Smith. I don't see you. I don't see any of my friends, but I see like the very best relevant content from new people. And then like, it's just so random. Like I thought about it yesterday. My daughter, I had her we kept watching this one TikTok on like how to make a piece of art. And then over the past week, I've started getting like these 3D modeling. It's called, I don't even know what it's called, but basically like people doing like 3D modeling and it looks so hyper realistic. And of course, they kind of teach it on TikTok and have their courses and stuff. But it's just so cool that a couple times of watching that video over and over and over with her to kind of for her to recreate the art, that I'm getting stuff that I like. And I found myself like, hey, I want to see more of this. And I'm just getting exposed to very new things, which, you know, as a business owner, yeah, you want to nurture, you know, your audience, but there is a part of you like where TikTok does get you like new eyeballs that you might not have been in front of before.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If Facebook can do that one day, which it doesn't seem like it, right? Because it's a struggle. It's like, do you post to your business page? Do you post to your personal, you know, or do you post to the group? And it's like there's just so much choice and which one's going to get you new eyeballs. And for me, it's almost like I don't know, probably none. But I know TikTok will. Do you go live at all on TikTok, or do you use the live feature on any platform?
Not as much as I should, but I do. But you know, it's so last year I was working a lot and trying to find how I wanted to run my business and how I wanted to, like, when I first started this business, the goal was to have more time with my family and to have a lot of flexibility with my schedule, to where if I want to go to the beach on a Wednesday afternoon, I go to the beach on a Wednesday afternoon, you know. And last year I was really struggling with this, to where I was trying to find that balance of, you know, really killing it in this photography industry and also enjoying life, you know. And so I would find myself thinking about all the things that I should be doing more, what I should be doing to get more clients and everything. And I know this kind of contradicts what a lot of people in the High Rollers Club talk about, because the High Rollers Club is a bunch of go-getters where they are hustling. And so for me, finding that balance. So when I say that, you know, I probably should be doing more lives than I am, you know, we're still booking. We're still booked out 3 months, to where, you know, maybe it's not as important as I thought it was. And because we're putting so much focus on prospecting gets us clients. So while where we're at now, we're established to where, you know, before I was trying to tell people who we are, what we do, that I'm not some creepy dude with a camera, right? And through that, I was doing it through a lot of Facebook Lives, showing them what I'm doing behind the scenes, what I'm working on, stuff in the studio or during a photo shoot. So I think that your question was, do I do lives? And I do, but very, very rarely, because at this point, I don't see it having a direct correlation between us earning it. However, if I was starting out again, yeah, I'd be going live every day.
And I know we talked about, you know, the work-life balance. What are you seeing, like, and if you could even share yours, like average sale in a smaller town, military town too?
Yeah, right now our average sale is $4,600. Last week we had an $8,000 sale and a $5,000 sale. And like I said, we're a smaller studio, so that right there is our, including payroll, that is our monthly expenses. So we made the entire month's worth of money in that week. So being in a small town, like I said, I don't think that it's going to correlate to your success or your average sale or how much money you're making a year, because people will drive to you. I mean, like I said, we had somebody fly from Illinois to work with us. So I don't really think that there's a correlation between that, because you're going to have people who are going to want to work with you and they'll fly to you. But for the work life and just life work balance, when we first got started, you have to hustle. You have to, like, that first, like, I finally feel like I'm at a point now where I don't have to hustle as much. I still have to keep the momentum going, and if I don't, I'm going to feel it on 1 month where we're really hurting. But that first, like, couple years, I feel like if I wasn't going really, really hard in the paint and going live every day and posting every day and making the TikToks and making the reels and everything, I don't really know if we would be at where we are at today. But with the work-life balance, I think that was my why when we first started, was to be able to have that balance and be able to do things that I wouldn't normally be able to do during the week or on the weekends. And now that we're to a point where that I'm actually starting to enjoy it a little bit more. So I would say that the average sale definitely helps, because when we only have those 4 to 5 shoots a month, we're still making as much as we need. just because our sales are so high.
Yeah, that's super impressive. And if you took a poll on a Facebook group and said, "Hey, Los Angeles photographer in South Carolina," you probably have a higher average sale in South Carolina, Beaufort, than like 99% of photographers, even in California. So like super, super impressive, man.
Well, thank you.
Who does your sales? And like, yeah, talk me through that. Like, talk me through your sales methodology.
Yeah. So, oh, that's a big question. One thing that I've started doing a lot more, maybe over the last year, is planting seeds, especially with like wall art, because wall art is really our way to upsell, and our pricing is based off of Jen's pricing, and it's really pretty simple. In fact, I've taken out some of things that Jen had in her price list when I got started with the High Rollers Club, like 4 years ago. So it's definitely changed. Now our bottom package is $18.99, and then our highest one I think is 12 or 11,000. But my I guess method with selling is not pushy. I'm not a pushy salesman. I aim to help my client as much as possible. I'll be like, I'll encourage them to be like, "Hey, when's the last time you did something for yourself?" Well, now's your chance to do something for yourself. Or Jen had a really great line she made in a live that I use now. And it's like, in 5 years, when you're looking back at this photo shoot and you're flipping through your album, the last thing that you're going to be thinking about is, "Damn, I shouldn't have spent all that money." You're going to say, "Damn, I wish I would have spent more money to have more pictures in this album." And that line upgrades to the next package a lot, honestly. But for our whole day, we'll do our photo shoots in the morning. We'll start hair and makeup about 9, and we'll be done with the whole photo shoot around 12:30. And then we send them the lunch and have them come back that afternoon for the reveal and order session. So it's a full day experience, and it's exhausting. But by the time we get to the pictures, I mean, our clients are like excited, they're ready to go, they want to see their pictures. We used to do it where we would have the client come back and see the fully edited, everything retouched about a week or 2 weeks after the photo shoot. But now we do the same day sales, and since doing that, our sales have increased. Like I said, they're super excited about it, they want to see the pictures, they can't wait to take something home with them that day. And so my work is kind of easy at that point. I just get to lead them through what they like and what they don't like, and then I give them a price tag, and then they purchase it. So when we go through our sales session, I do everything in Lightroom. I don't use Pro Select or Shoot and Show or whatever it's called. I use everything in Lightroom, and we do a very, very basic edit in Lightroom. I'll take down the texture and clarity and just kind of color correct everything really quick, and then I will show them everything. So we'll sit down at the sales. I'll go through everything and just show them and explain to them, "Hey, we just took these pictures a couple hours ago. Of course, they're not edited. So you're going to see scratches, you're going to see bruises, stretch marks, all of that. Don't worry about it. Anything that you purchase, we're going to beautify the skin." I explained that we don't make anything bigger or smaller in our retouching, but scratches, bruises, stretch marks, even if they want us to take out a scar, we can do that too. It's up to them.
You don't liquefy at all?
I don't liquefy at all. No. One thing that when we first got started, I was actually really opposed to retouching. And then I found out clients really want retouching. So we retouch now, but this is kind of like just I don't want to say my line in the sand, but I am a firm believer in our experience helping our clients see themselves in their best possible light without making them different. And I tell them, with the retouching, we could sit in the studio all day and get 50 different lights and soft boxes and reflectors, and your skin would look absolutely flawless. But we don't have time for that. We got work to do. So I'll retouch the skin. Don't worry about that, but we're not going to make anything bigger or smaller.
Have you ever had anyone say, like, "Please make it smaller, please"?
No, I haven't, because I'm good at what I do, and the posing really, really works, and the angles really, really work. And I don't think I've had, before the photo shoot, before they see the pictures, they'll be like, "Well, just, take the little bit in," or something like that. And I laugh it off, like, "Just wait till you see the final product." And I think that I've gotten to a point in my work and our style, and that I'm a lot more confident in what I do. I know when a client comes through the studio, we're going to have a good shoot. Even if I'm having a not so good shoot or I'm having an off day, it's going to be a really good shoot and they're going to love their pictures, which really helps to the vibe. They can feel it. They know I'm confident in it. And overall, I think it kind of helps with them trusting the process of not needing to make anything bigger. So, but we show 111 pictures because repeating numbers, and I'm kind of not superstitious. I'm a little stitious. So we do 111 pictures, and then I just show them everything. I'll show them in like groups of 2 to 4. We'll go through everything, and then we go back and I have them get rid of the images that they don't like. Usually we end around between 80 and 90 images after that first round. And then I go through the packages. One thing that I don't do that a lot of photographers do in the High Rollers Club, I do not show any pricing before the photo shoot until they sit down and they see their picture. I tell them during the phone consultation that our packages start at $1,899, and it goes up from there depending on how many images you want, what kind of album you want, if you want wall art, digitals. It's really up to you at that point. Most of our clients spend a few $1,000s, and then we have some clients, or I'll say the script is, most of our clients, when they come in, they are blown away by how gorgeous their images are, and they end up spending a few $1,000s on their package. And then we have some clients who come in and are really blown away and they spend more than that, but it's really up to you. We offer flexible payment plans, and then we have a referral policy. So they don't see pricing at all until they see their images. And, I know that there's kind of like a mixed feeling on that, but we've been doing it for a little over 4 years now, and we have had maybe 1, maybe 2 people say they wish they would have saw the pricing beforehand. And when people ask for it, I'll send it over to them. But for the most part, people, our clients, their vision is the images and how they're going to look and everything. They know it's expensive. You can tell it's expensive by our brand and our website. You can tell it's expensive when I tell them most of our clients spend a few $1,000s. And all the specifics we'll figure out later. If you're comfortable with spending $2,000 or a couple $1,000s, you're our client and we can take care of you.
And what does it cost to book you typically, like on next week? What's a typical session fee?
So our session fee officially is $499 the photo shoot. But our Facebook group has a flash sale going on all the time. So what I'll do is give them a flash sale and say, hey, we had a sale on our Facebook group. I don't know if you saw it, but it just sold out in just a couple hours. And I do post flash sales all the time, and they usually do sell out really quick. But I usually only do like 1 or 2 spots. But I'll tell them, hey, we just had a flash sale not too long ago. Normally to book the photo shoot, it's $499. This is separate from the package that you'll select later on. However, I don't know if you saw in our Facebook group, but we had a really killer flash sale that sold out in just a couple hours. I do have a last minute cancellation for one of those spots. And if you're interested in it, I can give it to you over the phone today. Instead of the $499, it would just be $199. I do have some phone calls after yours, so it's probably going to sell out. But if you want that spot, I can give it to you, and you'd save $300 off the retainer alone. Do you want to go ahead and look at some dates and get you booked? And then I will say that you said something in a live the other day about how if you're booking a lot of your clients, or a lot of your consultations, you don't have enough consultations. But I kind of have a little bit of pride in my high booking rate. I'll say that because a lot of our clients book, a lot of our consultations book.
I mean, sounding like Leonardo DiCaprio from Wolf of Wall Street there. No, I'm kidding. That's obviously a good compliment. Yeah, I mean, that was sharp. I mean, I could definitely imagine that probably gets a lot of people to take action. And even in our phone script that we teach, like, we suggest having something like that. You got to sometimes, add exclusivity, add urgency, add a timeline, because, people will put things off that they really want to do. And then, next thing they know, 4 years have gone by. And if your service is that good, and if they're going to get that much benefit from it, like, it's your job to get them to get it. I've used this example, but I had my nose broken in the Marines. I got in so many fights as a high schooler, and even in the Marine Corps, like at boot camp, I was getting into fights. I don't know why. People just wanted to fight me. I kind of have a smart ass kind of thing to me. But I had my nose broken a couple times, and I didn't lose the fights, but when you're throwing blows, your nose gets hit. So it just was like super crooked. So when I got out of the military, I was like, all right, my chance now is to do it. But I was doing so many lives. I was, doing so many live events and stuff that I always had an excuse not to do it. And I went and did a consult with a doctor. And I think like 3 years went by and they called me like during COVID. I think it was like 2020. And they were like, hey, we had somebody actually test positive for COVID, wanted to see if you wanted to take the spot. And obviously that wasn't like urgency at the initial call, but they did put it into that second call and they followed up, which is like a super core principle that like, just because somebody inquired 2 years ago doesn't mean you shouldn't, reach back out, whether it's through email, text, or call, and just see. And I always tell people like, just get as many no's as possible. For you, it doesn't sound like you're getting that many no's, but you got to get those out of the way. Like I'd rather have, if you have 100 leads for the month, I'd rather you have, 10 people tell you yes and 90 no than for like 3 people to tell you yes and like 15 no's, because you didn't find out all those undecideds. Like you just, you're not getting the no. I'd rather have them tell me, nope, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't want to do it. And then now you can focus on the real leads or focus on the people that, have potential.
Yeah.
How's your follow-up? Tell me about that. How's your follow-up over there?
The follow-up. All right. I really suck at following up. I'm not going to lie. In fact, I have this Friday, I have 2 people who said that they want to book. I had a consultation with them both yesterday. They said they want to book, but they have to wait till Friday to get paid. So I was like, well, if you want to, because I gave them that, that $300 deal or the $199. And so I said, well, if you want to book on Friday, I'll go ahead and honor this. I know these states will sell out, but I totally get it. So let me call you back on Friday, and if you want to book, then we'll hold it. So I will say those sessions generally don't book. Those are the ones who they're like, man, I'm really, really excited. But then once they don't make that commitment right away, there's that space. Like I'd almost feel like for me as a buyer, if I was looking at an expensive guitar a couple weeks ago, and if the process isn't streamlined enough, I'm going to fall off. I'm not going to be a buyer really quickly. Like if I have to wait to get approved for Afterpay, or if I have to go pick it up or something like that. If the process isn't streamlined for me, I'm going to fall off as a buyer really, really quickly. And I think a lot of people who call us and need that follow-up call, I don't know how many people have actually booked off of follow-ups, at least within that first like week or two. Now we've had clients who have done a consultation with us, fallen off the off of the radar, and then a year or two come back later and be like, hey, I was looking at booking a shoot a while back, maybe like 2 years ago, but now I'm ready. So my follow-up I know can be a lot better. However, I'm a little bit different than a lot of photographers and the high rollers. And I don't like forcing. If I feel like I'm forcing something, then it's just not meant to be. I know I was kind of talking to you about moving to Kentucky. And this year, if we move to Kentucky, we're going to be forcing it. Whereas Christina, we're going out of the country twice this year. We're going to New York, where we have a bunch of different trips that we're doing. And I'm like, man, it's just not going to feel right. So I kind of do the same way with my photography, where I'm ready for the easy pickings. If they're ready to book, they're wanting to do the photo shoot, easy pickings, let's get them on the calendar. And I think that's probably why I'm never booked more than 3 or 4 months out in advance, because I am a little bit more easygoing, a little bit more go with the flow kind of guy. However, for people who aren't that way and they aren't booked, 6, 7, 8 months out, or they're not booked 3 months out, I think there's so much opportunity for follow-up that it's crazy. Like you were saying, that the doctors, the plastic surgeons, had reached out to you and followed up with you a couple years later. You wouldn't have been their client if they wouldn't have followed up through that. So that actually, my wife just walked in. We're going to do some follow up this month because it's tax season. There's a lot of people who've been interested in our services who now they can afford it. So I think follow up is a big game that not a lot of photographers are playing, including myself.
I will say there might be, almost like confirmation bias, right? Where we've talked about like people don't like prospecting, so it doesn't work for them. There's people that say Facebook groups don't work for them. One big one that you mentioned you have success with is like wall art, There's so many, I'm telling you, there's so many super talented photographers that do have pretty decent average sales, like 3,000, 3,500. And they will tell you to your face, nobody in my city will buy wall art. They don't want to display it. They have kids. And then you'll see somebody else at the dinner table say, no way, I live in the same city and everyone buys my wall art. And it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, if you believe it, it's absolutely true. But my challenge to you would be, today or on Friday, go get 10 no's, call back, especially if you have a good CRM where they're kind of categorized like, hey, this was a good lead after this person had potential. We recognize them from the Facebook group. Just start making calls and call until 10 people tell you no. And you'd be surprised. You might end. I've told this to people and they'll end the day and say, hey, I just booked like 4 sessions and not everyone I didn't even get my 10 no's, but it's 8 o'clock and I can't keep doing this. And it's like, yeah, exactly. Like you're so surprised that, they're like, hey, if you just reach back out, good things can happen.
Man, I hear photographers say stuff like that all the time. Like you're saying, like, well, no one's buying wall art. Nobody wants wall art for boudoir, or no one's booking in my city, or men can't make it in the boudoir industry. I'm like, well, duh, because you keep saying it. You keep saying that it's not going to work. Of course it's not going to work. I'm not like into like manifestation a whole lot. Like I think that there's definitely, something there, but there's a lot of power in words and how you speak to yourself and how you put things out there for your business. And if you're saying no one wants wall art, I can't sell it. Well, yeah, that's because you're saying that for sure. It comes down to bookings, wall art, boudoir, anything, So yeah, absolutely.
All right. I have a couple rapid fire questions and I might ask you to go further on it. If you could only spend money on one paid platform, where would you spend it for the leads?
For leads?
Only one platform.
If Google Ads is one of those platforms, I'd say Google Ads.
Only Google Ads. Why Google Ads over Facebook ads?
That's where we get a lot of our clients from. A lot of our prospect or our consultations come from Google Ads.
Awesome. How much do you spend a month marketing and where?
In general, I spend between $1,000 and $1,500 on paid ads through Meta, so Instagram, Facebook, and Google Ads.
Okay. Do you do any marketing offline or paid marketing offline?
The only thing that I do, I would say, I have a assistant in the Philippines who does a lot of our prospecting on Instagram and starting those conversations. And she does follows, unfollows, and she'll reach out to people, just kind of starting those conversations on Instagram. As of now, we've had her working for only three weeks, and we've paid her $62 for a half hour a day of work every day. And we've already booked 2 people. So we're already up, $150 on retainers alone.
It's awesome. Camera, what are you shooting nowadays?
So I have a Canon EOS R, so like the first Canon mirrorless, and I have a Sigma 50 art and an 85 art.
And that's that's what you shoot with, 50 and 85? Just
those 2. However, as soon as I feel comfortable to spend a ton of money on a lens, I'm looking at that 28 to 70 f2 lens. I've rented it for a photo shoot before, and having the zoom lens right on body is awesome, but it goes down to that f2, which is really creamy. Looks really good.
What are the 50s? They're like 1.5s or 1.8, 1.4s or 1.8s?
1.5. Yeah, 1.5 for both of those.
Really? Wow. Okay. So it's lighting, natural light. I know we saw your website, but natural light or artificial?
What do you think? I'm actually kind of curious.
What do I think? I think that you just, I think even just recalling from Facebook groups and just the way the light's falling, I feel like you have like perfect control over like exactly what angle it's falling at. And either you put all your furniture perfectly or you're positioning lights perfectly. So I'm going to go with artificial lights.
So I use a ring light for all of my stuff.
A ring light.
And the only reason why is when we first started shooting boudoir, I was following this photographer, and she used a ring light in some of her behind the scenes video. And I was like, oh, and her work was beautiful. So I was like, well, that's somebody who I'm looking up to. I want to be like this person. And so I started using a ring light, and I haven't gone back since. So everything is done with the ring light. Yeah.
How big is the ring light?
It's like whatever you can get at Walmart. It's like 18 or 20 inches, something like that.
At Walmart? I'm
Yeah.
sitting here thinking you're shooting with Paul C. Buff and, all the big dogs.
Nah, you don't need all of that. There's people get too worked up about all of that, and you really don't need it. If you're it's very similar to guitar. I relate pretty much everything to music in life, and I play on my $400 guitar that I bought when I was 14 years old, and I'll go out and do a show with like on Christmas, I was playing with the Paris Island Marine Band, and we were playing something, and somebody came up to me and they're asking about my sound and how good it sounds. And they're like, "Man, what kind of guitar you play on?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's this junker guitar that I bought when I was a kid." And it's like, if you know how to do your job with a camera, you know how light works, and angles, and let's be real, you need a decent lens, but you don't really need all of that real expensive gear. You can make a lot of money off of the bare basics. If it wasn't for us being in a studio, I'm very confident that we could have a very similar average sale with us shooting in our sunroom still too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I thought I had one last question, but I think that's it. Thank you so much. And yeah, that ring light, I never would have guessed. But at least I got half of it right. Artificial, natural. That was a question.
Yeah, that's good.
You should have followed up. Hey, what kind of artificial? Then I would have been guessing something crazy.
Yeah, the ring light, the one light to rule them all.
By the way, I will say this did not go unnoticed. It did not go unnoticed that there was an Ayn Rand quote somewhere over here. I have Anthem sitting on my shelf over there. So
on my website.
Yeah, I'm actually highlighting it, but on your website. Did you put that there? Did your wife put it there?
No, when you guys built our website, you guys probably put it there.
Oh, funny.
I was like, who's that?
Who's that? That's
it's a good quote though. I really like it.
It's funny. You'll Google it after and then you'll see why I mentioned it. All right, man. Thank you so much. I'll post your socials. Where can people find you?
Yeah. Honestly, Mark Andrew Boudoir, pretty much everywhere, or Boudoir by Mark. But I can send you that information too after this.
All right, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, and see you guys all next time.